Hey everyone, CPO here, and welcome to the very first actual working on the AR15 video. This is video 2 out of the series. The first video was sort of the setup, a little bit of information about this guy here, and some insight on what I'm going to do to upgrade it. But this video is specifically going to look at removing these carbine length hand grips, removing the front sight and the gas block, and in preparation for installing the full-length free float handguard and a low-profile gas block. So this is the disassembly of this stuff. I'll be removing the barrel and getting these things off of the barrel. Now there are a lot of videos out there on the interwebs showing this process with a variety of different methods and techniques and clarity. So I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway, because maybe there's something in here you see that's helpful for you, whether you're a new gun guy or you've been doing it for a while. Maybe there's something in here. The other thing I'm going to do is some, this is 4K video, so my goal is to make some pretty clear, helpful content. Anyway, let's get to it. All right, so the very first thing I'm going to do is remove these grips here. And these are basically spring-loaded. Some people can do them by hand, some people can't. I can usually get enough pressure on it to remove it by hand, but it's hard. There we go. Yeah, that's that. I am going to show you a different way though, in case you can't do it by hand. I'll show you a tip. And even a tip for reinstalling. So for reinstalling, what I like to do is put the lower handguard on part way. It sort of holds that spring compressed a little bit. Oops. And then slip the top into place, line it up, and I'll take a little flathead screwdriver right in here and just pry up, and yeah, everything just sort of snaps into place. So that's my tip for getting them back on. Getting them off, depending on what equipment you have, the hard part is getting that thing compressed. I've seen a variety of techniques, but we're working eventually with a vise anyway. So I'm going to separate the upper and the lower, and in this case, that's why I have a screwdriver. This front one is held in with a screw. Old school, baby. Okay, so now we have the upper, and I'm just going to put it into a vise block here. I'm going to line this block with the front of the vise, so I have as much room as possible. Get this out of the way. All right, and then I'm just going to put a C-clamp here. Just to give something to lever against. So with the vise sort of locked in here, the C-clamp there, I'm going to take these, just normal set of channel locks. And you've seen people use the channel locks by gripping around and then, you know, pushing on these, and that's an effective way to do it. But what I like to do is come down here and then just put the head of the channel lock, the actual jaws of the plier, just have them against that C-clamp sort of, and use that as a stop, and then I can lever off of that. All I have to do then is just squeeze and pull back on the C-clamps, and that will allow me to easily remove these handguards. So you can see how that works there. So if you're looking for an easy way to do it, maybe that's helpful for you. So the next thing I want to do is work on dealing with this gas block. Now there's 3 pins here that we're going to deal with. 2 of them are holding the whole assembly, the gas block assembly with the front sight onto the barrel. And then there's another pin right up here, roll pin, that is holding the gas tube to the gas block. So we're going to deal with all of those, and I'm going to take it out of the vise for this. And put it right on the bench. All right, so for these, the question I have to ask is, which side do I need to punch from? So these pins are tapered. One head is going to be narrower than the other. So I'm just going to use a small micrometer here. 3.6. And this one is smaller, 3.2. So what I know is the big side is on this side, so I'm going to punch down in that direction. And for this, I'm just going to take a 2x4, and that gives me plenty of room for those pins to come out. A fairly protective surface, and yeah, something I can sort of push against as I do that. So it's a 5/32 punch and a big hammer. So what I want to do is get that as stable as possible. There we go. Get the first one loose. Now this thing hasn't been apart ever. It's been like this since 1997. So I'm not cheating by doing it myself first and then redoing it on camera. This is legit. Problem is, it sits a little bit high up. It's almost like I need like a bigger punch just to rest on the top of that thing. There we go. Now I can go back to, here's a 1/8. All right, there we go. Those 2 pins are out. All right, so a little roll pin here holding the gas tube to the gas block. It definitely does not want to come out easily. So here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to use a little shot of WD-40 just as a penetrating oil. Maybe just to help sort of loosen things up. Keeping in mind this pin has been in there for a long time. So I'm just gonna let that sort of soak. And we'll come back, see if it makes a difference. All right, so I let this soak for a little bit. We'll see if it makes it any easier. This is a 1/16 inch punch, by the way. Oh, there we go. Now it's starting to move. 1/16 seems to be the one that works the best. Where'd it go? Well, I just kicked it out, but I lost it. Ah, here it is. I thought I was gonna have to go back to pull the video. Anyway, so yeah, 1/16 for the win, if you can keep it straight. So yeah, this little guy, probably the most challenging part of this entire build. All right, so now we got that done. Get this out of the way. And I am going to put this back into the vise because I want to go ahead and remove this flash suppressor. So any cheap armor's wrench should do the trick. That's the guy right there. This thing hasn't been off ever, and you saw how easy that was. So I do have a washer in here that if you're not familiar with these, basically what it allows you to do is get proper torque on this while at the same time giving you enough freedom to be able to tighten it to get your flash suppressor lined up, right? So in this case, the bottom it has no holes so that you're not blowing gases down into the dirt and stirring up a bunch of dirt. So when it goes back on, it's going to go back on just the same way, and then you're going to clock it so that that's on the bottom. The crush washer allows you to sort of do that. So this may or may not be reusable. I'm going to hang on to it. I have a couple of extra ones from other suppressors, so if I need to, I'll switch to that. But for now, I'm just going to save that just like that. So now with that off, I should be able to get this guy out of here. This is just kind of nasty. It's coming off, you can see the goop. So I'm just trying to ease it out, tighten it down a little bit more. Wow, you can see all this crud that's building up right there. All right, once I get through that cruddy area, it's coming off nice and easily. It's got to get past. I had some gunky stuff there. I'm not sure exactly what that is. And then the gas tube is gonna wanna come out. We've removed the pin, but it's not uncommon for this to get stuck. So I'm gonna also add some penetrating oil and just sort of let that soak for a little while. All right, so while that is soaking, I'll go ahead and work on removing this barrel. And again, we have this special tool here, which is designed to fit into these grooves. And we're gonna just wrench off this barrel nut. And that did not take a lot of torque at all. There we go. Now the reason I'm doing all this is because even though I'm using the same barrel, the new handguard is going to use a different barrel nut than this. So this is going to basically go into the factory parts bin, and we're going to be replacing the barrel nut with something else. So I'm not even going to pull the barrel apart. I'm just going to leave that just like that. I'll probably clean up those threads, and yeah. All right, let's see if this has freed up at all. So if you have a stubborn tube, one of the things you can do is, this is an old leather glove and a pair of vice grips. And basically what I'm looking for is just barely being able to close around it without crushing the tube. Oh yeah. Just give you something to grip that with. There we go. All right guys, that's it. That is removing the factory handguards and gas block and gas tube. So now, just cleaning up some of this crud. I don't know what that was. It was sort of a sticky gunk. So now what we can do is go ahead and put our new barrel nut on and the new free float handguard. That'll be in the next video, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.